Greater Vancouver Realtors professionalism and innovation-focused podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Lalime. Each month, we sit down with industry leaders to discuss the critical issues affecting our profession and the paths we must take to overcome them. Over our first 7 episodes, we've discussed topics like the future of real estate regulation with BC Financial Services Authority's outgoing CEO, Blair Morrison, and a deep dive on statistics and data with GVR's Director of Economics, Andrew Liss. Today, we're focusing on one of the biggest junctions of innovation and professionalism in our profession. I'm talking about the PacificWest Conference, which goes down over 2 days, October 1st and 2nd, at the Vancouver Convention Centre. Visit pacificwest.ca for all the details and to secure your spot. PacificWest is more than a real estate conference. It's designed to innovate, integrate, and inspire, while equipping real estate professionals like yourself with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in today's competitive market. PacificWest boasts an impressive lineup of over 60 speakers who are leaders in their fields. And as it happens, 3 of these speakers have also been featured guests on The Critical Path. So we thought we'd wet your whistle for PacificWest with some clips from our episodes featuring these 3 expert guests: GVR CEO Jeff King, CCIM's Steve Cruz, and realtor and AI guru Michael Thorne. First up is Jeff King, who you can hear as part of the CEO's panel at PacificWest, along with Fraser Valley Real Estate Board CEO Baldev Gill and BC Real Estate Association CEO Trevor Coote. In this clip, Jeff talks about some of the work GVR is doing to elevate professionalism in real estate.
For decades, in our research, we found numerous mentions about raising the bar for professionalism in real estate and other professions, but we're focused on real estate, of course. There's a lot of talk about it, not a lot of action. Mm-hmm. And so the strategy has existed in organized real estate from different perspectives for a long time.
It feels like professionalism has been a word we've heard a lot over the last several years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the people had trouble sort of defining it. So we put a lot of effort into building it, and we had a position paper developed by outside folks that looked at different professions, different things that they did, and then we built out an action plan coming out of that. And there's about 28 or so different unique action items that we've curated. Mm-hmm. They range from the new Realtor Oath, which has been very well received. Mm-hmm. You know, oaths and pledges have existed for generations, like thousands of years. Hippocrates that did one for physicians. But there's something about making a declaration publicly that helps address this.
Well, even just to yourself, when we would make these videos, I would think this is the kind of thing you might just wake up and say to yourself in the morning every day, starting your day, right?
Yeah, I'm going to do this, right? Yeah. And so there's that part of it. There's other elements around dealing with poor behavior. So people who are flagrantly unprofessional, we want them out. Right. They shouldn't be part of what we're doing. But also addressing other things like common courtesy. That's been one of the big surprises for me coming into this industry. I've only been here a couple of years, but a lot of the issues and challenges that realtors have is around getting people to call them back and all that stuff. I think there's things we can do to help correct those types of elements.
Yeah.
And then I think there's some professional development pieces, including for the people who don't do deals regularly, and to help them to keep up to speed. A certain percentage of all the real estate agents across North America do deals every other year, every third year type of thing. Mm-hmm. And the skills can lose their sharpness. So we're coming up with different ways to handle that. And then the final sort of part is around the different elements around the barrier to entry. Mm-hmm. We want to have a high standard so that it's recognized not just as a job, but as a profession, and the level of
get away from the signposts, the telephone poles with the pass your real estate exam for $99.
The license mills and all those things are an issue. Yeah, but I think there's by weaving those types of things in, you're right, and with the theme of our overall strategy about embracing technology and innovation. It tells a very complete story.
Next up is Steve Cruz, president of the Certified Commercial Investment Member, or CCIM, West Coast Chapter. Steve will dive further into the latest in BC's commercial real estate market at PacificWest. In this clip, Steve shares some of the insights commercial realtors want residential realtors to know about.
think one of the most valuable things you can understand about commercial realtors is that we're not teachers. And so a lot, like with all the best of intentions, a residential realtor will try to service their clients' needs. And if they own a warehouse, for example, they'll try to sell a warehouse. And that historically could have worked out when everything goes up every few years. These days, not having decision-making expertise behind you sets you up for some serious liability, right? So the complications on all of this stuff is just manifold, right? So I would say the approach of some residential realtors approaching a commercial agent saying, hey, I've got a client with a property, let's do the deal together and you can teach me and I'll learn. It's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. It just is. No one has time for that. It's just not, and it is a position of humility and it's hard. Nobody wants to do that, but you actually have to say, hey, I need help with this. I understand that there's something beyond my comprehension at this point in time. I'm open and willing to get on board here and work with someone I trust, and there are people that will work with you, but the amount of calls that, people are going to send to people myself and say, hey, I've got a building downtown, let me know if you have any buyers, or we can co-list it if you show me everything. Like it's not, it took me, and I did it fast. I did CCIM in a year, right? Oh. And I got my PIN and my $30 million portfolio done. And, it's really hard to explain that, to like, hey, we're going to get your building sold together, and have coffee a couple times and it's going to work out. And then you can go and do commercial real estate. It just isn't, it's so far from a realistic ask, mm-hmm. And so it's hard not to take that and sometimes remain polite. As I'm sure many residential realtors will feel that it's hard to approach commercial agents. Like we're extremely busy and the stuff, the scale of things, I might be on the phone talking about a 5-tower multi-phase development, and it's going to take me in half an hour to explain to you why I can't work with you on your deal that you're bringing me. So it's not a realistic use of my time. It doesn't serve my client's interest, right? So we get testy. But I think there's an openness there that with CCIM, this is a path forward, and it's an accessible olive branch for people who want to know. We're not talking about getting 10,000 CCIMs. We're talking about another 100, and maybe someday reaching 1,000 in the whole country. That could take 10 years. But if you know who's who in the zoo, you can actually do something about it, mm-hmm. if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. It almost kind of brings it right into the last question I had for you, because you got into a little bit there. What has CCIM done for you specifically in your career? What has CCIM meant to you?
It's meant everything. Like my origin story, getting into commercial, I was a small business owner, and I talked to a realtor, to sell my business, and I said to him, if you teach me commercial real estate, I'll let you sell my business. And he said, yeah, okay, sounds good. So he sold the business, and on my first day, I got my license, and I showed up to work, and I said, okay, that was amazing. How'd you do it? Like, how'd you make it happen? And he said, well, you told me the price. And I said, what? And he said, you told me the price. So I listed it and I sold it. You're welcome. And so I was like,
bada bing.
What have I done with my life? So I signed up with 101 the next day. And I actually failed it, to be perfectly honest. And it was a real inflection point for me of like, okay, what am I doing, right? And really like taking it very seriously, and then moving forward with openness and humility, and like starting to really look at things differently, right? And the opportunity, it's really easy to get lost in the never-ending ability to make commercial dollars, right? Like some of the deals you see just make your eyes spin. Like, well, how do these guys do it? It's just amazing, but you really have to be understanding that you have fiduciary responsibility to be your best in that scenario. And you are accountable. And at the end of the day, you are accountable to yourself, right? So if you can look yourself in the mirror and say like, yeah, I'm not going to fake it till I make it. I'm actually going to do this. right? And so CCIM for me was the underpinning of that growth, if that makes sense. And I'm so grateful. I do deals with other CCIMs around the country. My company was formed with a CCIM, with Cynthia at CASM Global. And, we're looking to work with CCIMs in other markets, right? So now I just got licensed in Alberta. We're setting up an office in Manitoba and Toronto, and we'll work with CCIMs, the best of the best that we can find in those markets and deliver value to our clients, and we'll grow with their portfolios, but the training never stops.
No.
Like I'll be taking ward classes for the next 20 years, right? And because they're, incorporating the best knowledge in the marketplace being filtered back to us as a feedback loop, right?
Well, and it's part of being a professional too, right? Just staying on top of everything. And that's something that we're really trying to drive home in the professionalism work that we're doing here at GVR too. So
it's great to see.
Yeah. And it's, it's nice to see that there's such alignment with our partners like CCIM too. Finally, we've got Michael Thorne. At PacificWest, Michael will delve further into the AI concepts we explored on this podcast. In this clip, Michael sheds light on the ways AI can help make a more efficient realtor.
I sort of frame it this way. I think there's 2 losers and 1 winner when it comes to AI and real estate. The people who ignore it will lose. I mean, just generally ignore it like the internet, they will lose. The next person I think that's most likely to lose is what you just said. Those agents that put this technology between them and their consumer. And the easiest thing is to talk about DocuSign. We could use a tool like DocuSign so we never, ever have to sit face-to-face with our client again, but that's not a wise use of the technology. The technology is amazing. We've used it the wrong way. We've done it to decrease our client care and the experience that we're providing our clients. But if we're using DocuSign at 11:30 at night to get an initial taking the fridge out of the attachments of the contract, that's a great use of DocuSign. And AI, I think, will be the same way. We hear people right now, these so-called experts, say make a digital avatar of yourself and have that digital avatar communicate with your clients. That is a madness. We're the expert, right? We want to spend more time with our clients. So using AI to sort of start to take care of those behind the scenes, those mundane tasks, right? Those repetitive tasks in your business so that it frees up time so you can spend more time with your client. I think that's the win. And that's certainly how Jordan, Trish, and I have approached it, is to use it to streamline our business so we can create more human experience with our clients. And I think that's also something that's going to win. As this becomes more pervasive in our society, being more human will be of even greater value and of care. So that's how I think the agents that are really going to win are going to do it, by putting it behind them.
Yeah, I think a great example was how we were talking a little bit about how, you can use AI to simulate a buyer, right? And go through your scripts, right? And you really get the AI to kind of help, pick at some of the spots where you might expect a client to really want to get to know some more information, right?
Yeah, that's a really neat use case. Once again, it's the efficiency of it. This ability now to go to the office and get an agent to sit there and sort of run, scripts with you or role play as it's called sort of in the industry, to be able to do that at home and just really tell the AI, listen, I want you to see no value in a good commission. And I want to be able to explain and articulate my value and how the commission that I charge goes to marketing or goes to this, and challenge me on that, or challenge me on my pricing, or challenge me on whatever the aspect is, and then for it to be able to reflect back at what you discussed and sort of help you through it in a very, very critical way is just a really super interesting case study for how AI can help us behind the scenes so that when we are with our clients, we're much more comfortable talking about those things. It's very easy after 31 years, right, to talk to a client. But I look back at the beginning and to be able to sit there and go and to do 5 listing presentations in a day and get critical feedback about it, about how am I educating the consumer. That's a very, very interesting use case, and there's thousands of them out there.
Now, if that's not enough to get you excited about PacificWest on October 1st and 2nd, I challenge you. check out the website, pacificwest.ca, and look over the panels, presentations, trade show vendors, and our exciting keynote speakers. Best-selling author and innovation consultant Diana Kander, and Duncan Wardle, the former head of innovation and creativity at Disney. Thanks again for tuning into The Critical Path. I'm your host, Jesse Lalime, and I'll be looking out for you at Pacific West.